Okay, fourth period AP Lit. I have terrible news, and that is that I am in a meeting until 1 o'clock, which means I won't be in class today to start a Midsummer Night's Dream with you, but I will be back for my sixth and seventh period classes. So this message is tailor made for you, which I understand is super, super coincidental that we talked about me vlogging and something like that yesterday. And so, anyway, your wish is now my command, I guess, out of necessity. So, this video might be doing the most, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to connect with me in some capacity on Act 1 so that I could set the stage for you and that you're not super confused about what's going on, and so that hopefully, everything goes well here so that we can pick back up with Act 2 tomorrow and we'll be on the same page with the other classes. So what I'm going to do is I've got my like little at-home Shakespeare text here. What I'm going to do is just kind of walk you through, what happens in Act 1, and then have you read it for yourself, but hopefully with a little preview. It will be something that you can manage, and we'll go from there. So just to be real clear, I want you to watch this video first, watch it all the way through so that you have a good understanding of what you're about to read. And then I do want you to read Act 1 by yourself after having listened to the video, because I think it will make a lot of sense. And then once you do that, you'll feel good. I'll answer any questions that you have on, tomorrow. And then hopefully we can kind of pick back up after having talked about questions, and we can move on to Act 2. Okay, if it doesn't work, don't panic. If you're still like, what the hell is going on, then that's okay. Then I will, we'll hit the reset button. We will get through Act 1 together, and, I won't leave you hanging, okay? So this is just a preemptive strike to try to knock some things out. So, okay. Act 1. There are only 2 scenes in Act 1. It's very short, so you'll be able to get through it. And Act 1 kind of sets the stage and immediately sets our conflict in motion. Act 1 of all Shakespearean comedies traditionally starts with the authority figures and the lovers. And very rarely do the comic buffoons or the idiots show up in Act 1, Scene 1, and that is the case here. So Theseus comes in and he's talking. Theseus is the Duke of Athens, and he's one of the authority figures. And so he walks in, and his wife-to-be, her name is Hippolyta. And as Theseus is talking to Hippolyta, he's like, "Oh, I can't wait. Our wedding day is so close. What do you think?" And she's like, yeah. And then right away, there's some sexual humor. And he says, "Hippolyta, I wooed thee with my sword, and I won thy love doing thee injuries," which is like, okay, I wooed you with my sword, meaning like I fought for you on the battlefield, but okay, yeah. So anyway, it's kind of funny. There's some instance like humor right there. And then Aegeus comes in, and Aegeus is another authority figure. He's kind of Theseus' right-hand man, but more importantly, Aegeus is Hermia's father. And so we talked about the love little rectangle yesterday, and remember, Hermia really loves Lysander, but Theseus and Aegeus are going to tell her that she must marry Demetrius. So Aegeus comes in, and the first thing he says, right, is, "Full of vexation come I with complaint against my child, my daughter Hermia." Right? And so he says, "This man," and he points to Demetrius, "this man has my permission to marry her." And then he points to Lysander and he says, "This person has like bewitched her." And so he's making, he's like pretending that he loves her, or, yada, yada, yada. So Theseus hears both sides of the story. Hermia says, "Dad, why can't I just I just want to marry, Lysander. Why are you making me, marry Demetrius, yada, yada, yada." And so Theseus, very important, in my text here, it's line 82, but he says, "Take time to pause, and by the next new moon, the sealing day betwixt my love and me for everlasting bond of fellowship, upon that day, either prepare to die for disobedience at your father's will, or else to wed Demetrius, as he would on Diana's altar to protest for austerity and single life." So what he says basically is, "Hermia, I need you to take some time, because I know this is a lot, but you belong to your father's property, right? And you have a choice. You can be put to your death, or you can marry Demetrius." So like at this point, Hermia has she has no good option, right? She feels like she doesn't want to die, obviously, and then she doesn't want to marry Demetrius. So what the heck does she do? So the nobles leave, okay? And Lysander is left on the stage with Hermia, just these 2 lovers who love each other. And Lysander says one of the most notable Shakespearean lines in all of his plays. And he says, "Hermia, look, the course of true love never did run smooth." And that's one of the first instances in which we see, this concept of this theme that we talked about yesterday, that love is a process of growth. And Lysander is smart enough to recognize that look, if we really love each other, right, then it's going to work out eventually. And how many times have we heard that, right? This idea that, if you love somebody, right, it's going to work out, right? True love is enough to get anybody by anything, any obstacle. Okay, so they make this plan, and Lysander says, look, I have an aunt who lives in the town next. Why don't we just run through the woods, right, get married in her town, and, yeah, and we'll just be married then. And she agrees. So then Helena comes in, and remember, Helena is the part of the rectangle who no one loves, right, which is super sad. But, Hermia, she greets her and she says, like, Helena, like, Godspeed, right? Like, hey, what brings you here? And then Helena instantly, her first line right out of the gate is just this, like, huge, like, fest, right? Where she's like, oh, I'll call you me fair, right? She's like, oh, what, you think I'm cute, right? No one thinks I'm cute, right? So she does this whole thing, right? Demetrius loves you because you're cute, but I'm not cute. And so, again, Hermia tries to, like, talk her friend off the ledge, like, hey, you're being crazy right now, right? But then, she's like, yeah, like, oh, I just wish that, like, I had the gifts that you have. You're so pretty, Hermia, right? You're so smart, and I'm none of those things. And if I were those things, Demetrius would love me. So long story short, right, it's this concept that, like, she's trying to talk her friend off the ledge. Long story short, Hermia says, hey, look, Bull, you can be happy for me because Lysander and I are going to get engaged. So that would leave Demetrius for you. And so Helena's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome, right? But then she realizes that Demetrius is going to chase them through the woods. And so Helena decides to chase Demetrius through the woods. And then that's what happens with this whole thing. Okay. That's really what happens in Act 1, Scene 1. That's it. You have the conflict that's established where the authority figures tell Hermia who to marry. You have Hermia and Lysander who make a plan of what to do and how they're going to get married. And then you have Helena come in, and Helena says, like, oh, woe is me. No one loves me. Hermia tells her friend Helena of, like, her and Lysander's plan to go get married. And so Helena then says, okay, I'm going to follow you. And that's it. Act 1, Scene 1. Okay? I would ask you if I were in class, like, how you feel about that, but we're just going to make the assumption that you at least feel here, and I can answer questions tomorrow. Okay, I had a change of heart. I'm not going to tell you anything about Act 1, Scene 2, because I think you need to see it. And it's so short that I think we'll have time to do it on Thursday. So, your only task today is to read Act 1, Scene 1. After watching this video, your only task today is to watch read Act 1, Scene 1, and that's it. There is an assignment posted on Canvas that you can work on if you finish early, but tomorrow we will pick back up together with Act 1, Scene 2 so that you can see it. It's The Idiots, and I want to make sure that it's done well, okay? And that you get a good sense for that, because that's the real, like, that's the good stuff, all right? There is an assignment posted on Canvas that you can do today because you've already read Act 1, Scene 1. It comes from there. So, quick recap. You watch the video. I want you to read Act 1, Scene 1. All right, we will wait for Act 1, Scene 2 tomorrow. And then I want you to do your homework assignment for this. You got a couple days to do it, but it's a close reading thing. But that will give you an opportunity to stay up with what we're doing, and I think we can still stay on pace. So once again, my apologies. I am so sorry I couldn't be here. I hope we didn't lose too much momentum. I will answer any questions that you have tomorrow, and then we will be sure to jump right back into Midsummer tomorrow. So sorry again, and we'll see you then.